He's a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. You take a look at the FBI a year ago. It was in virtual turmoil less than a year ago. It hasn't recovered from that.
Monday, you met with the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein.
Right.
Did you ask for a recommendation?
What I did is I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not...
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. There's no good time to do it, by the way.
Because in your letter you said I accepted their recommendation.
Yeah, well,
so you had already made the decision.
I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really room.
He made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him. The Republicans like him. He made a recommendation. But regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey.
Folks, that was President Donald Trump yesterday in an interview he did with NBC News' Lester Holt, the first interview he has done since he fired FBI Director James Comey on Tuesday. It was a stunning, stunning interview as you listen to President Donald Trump totally contradict his own senior officials. After he fired, of course, FBI Director James Comey, they sent out a litany of officials on to national media outlets to say that Comey was not fired because of Russia, saying that he was fired mainly because of the recommendation of Rod Rosenstein. We now know that to be a lie. Vice President Michael Pence went on Capitol Hill and said it had nothing to do with Russia. That was a lie. Sarah Huckabee Sanders went on MSNBC, went on CNN, said from the White House briefing it was not about Russia. That was a lie. Kellyanne Conway lied. Sean Spencer lied. That's what we have seen from this White House. We are now in a significant crisis where the President of the United States literally is lying to the American people as to why FBI Director James Comey was fired. To make matters worse, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Donald Trump demanded loyalty from FBI Director James Comey, and when he did not give it to him, that's when everything went downhill for James Comey. Here's more of the interview between Trump and Lester Holt.
Didn't ask that question directly. Had you already made that decision? I went off of the information that I had when I answered your question. I've since had the conversation with him right before I walked on today, and he laid it out very clearly. He had already made that decision. He'd been thinking about it for months, which I did say yesterday and have said many times since.
Yes.
Right. I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation. Why did you put that in there?
Because he told me that. I mean, he told me that.
He told you weren't under investigation with regard to the Russian investigation?
I've heard that from others. I think.
Was it in a phone call? Did you meet face to face?
I had a dinner with him. He wanted to have dinner because he wanted to stay on. We had a very nice dinner at the White House very early on. A dinner was arranged. I think he asked for the dinner. And he wanted to stay on as the FBI head. And I said, I'll, consider. We'll see what happens. But we had a very nice dinner. And at that time, he told me, you are not under investigation, which I knew anyway.
That was one meeting. What was it?
First of all, when you're under investigation, you're giving all sorts of documents and everything. I knew I wasn't under. And I heard it was stated at the committee, at some committee level, that I wasn't. Number one.
So that didn't come directly from him.
Then during a phone call, he said it. And then during another phone call, he said it. So he said it once at dinner, and then he said it twice during phone calls.
Did you call him?
In one case, I called him. In one case, he called me.
And did you ask, am I under investigation?
I actually asked him, yes. I said, if it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation? He said, you are not under investigation.
But he's given sworn testimony that there is an ongoing investigation into the Trump campaign and possible collusion with the Russian government. You were the centerpiece of the Trump campaign.
Well,
so
all
was
I
he
can tell
being
you
truthful
is,
when he says you were under investigation?
I know that I'm not under investigation. Me, personally. I'm not talking about campaigns. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm not under investigation.
Folks, also, we have the acting head of the FBI who went before the Senate Intelligence Committee, who did say that Comey was widely respected within the department. folks. And so again, I don't have that sound there. Again, he said that of the more than 36,000 FBI agents across the country and across the globe, there was a diversity of opinions about many issues, but a vast majority of the FBI employees had respect for Jim Comey. Now, here's the issue, folks. You had Sarah Huckabee Sanders yesterday standing before the cameras and talked about the number of FBI folks she heard from who were happy to see Trump fire Comey. What in the world is going on with this lying White House? Joining us right now on the phone is Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Congressman, surely it has to be troubling for you to see this White House in total disarray, consistently lying to the American people. Now we have Donald Trump out of his own mouth saying Russia was one of the reasons why he fired, the Russian investigation was one of the reasons why he fired James Comey.
Well, good morning, Roland. And we are in the midst of a constitutional crisis, the likes of which have not been seen in this country since the days of Richard Nixon and Watergate. The President of the United States made a decision to fire the FBI director who was in the midst of investigating his own campaign for possible ties to Russia and their interference with our election, which in effect would constitute itself an act of treason. And so it's extraordinary that not only would the president engage in this behavior, but not even have an understanding as to what he's admitting to. And then, of course, as you've pointed out, he sent out his flunkies who consistently lied to the American people about the reasons for the termination, even though many of us understood from the very moment that it was preposterous to suggest that Trump would fire Comey because all of a sudden he was concerned with the FBI's director's poor treatment of Hillary Clinton, a person that Donald Trump has been savaging for the last 2 years.
I want to play this soundbite. Virginia Senator Mark Warner, of course, he also talked about this whole issue, and he was very direct as it related to the firing of James Comey and how he felt. So he shared his thoughts about how Trump fired James Comey. Folks, let's play that.
I thought he had made some mistakes last fall, but I never called for his resignation. I thought he was a straight shooter, and frankly, I'm offended at the president's comments today. This is a continuing pattern of disrespecting the men and women who serve in our intelligence community.
So, Congressman, you sit on the House Judiciary Committee, and when you see this action, I mean, I don't know of anyone who can defend this. You had a small number of Republicans who came out publicly, talked about the issue for a potential independent counsel. Should Rod Rosenstein totally ignore Senator AG Jeff Sessions, ignore Trump, and appoint an independent counsel? He has the right to do so since Sessions recused himself from any and all issues involving Russia and the investigation.
Absolutely. That is the only step that can be taken here. And Roland, let's look at what Donald Trump has done even prior to the firing of the FBI director. He refuses to release his tax returns to the American people. What is Donald Trump hiding? He fired Acting Attorney General Sally Yates shortly after she revealed to the White House her belief that Michael Flynn, Trump's first national security advisor, could be a Russian asset and subject to possible blackmail. He fired U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara from the Southern District of New York shortly after it was publicly revealed that Bharara's office was investigating close allies of the Trump administration. And then, of course, he's now fired FBI Director James Comey and all but admitted it had to do with Russia. And what was problematic there is that it appears Jeff Sessions, who supposedly had recused himself from all things Russia in terms of the Department of Justice, was the one who recommended to Trump in part or was involved in the decision to fire James Comey. And so no one at the White House, no one at the Department of Justice can be trusted. And Rod Rosenstein has the power, as you pointed out, Roland, to appoint a special prosecutor. That is the only course of action in order to ensure a full, fair, and independent investigation.
Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland.
Let's go to our D.C. panel. Jameer Burley, human rights activist. Pastor Shannon Wright III, vice chair of the Maryland GOP. We also have Raynard Jackson as well there. And is Barbara Arnwine there?
Yes.
All right, Barbara's there as well. So let me start with you, Raynard. You defended this president. You supported him during the campaign. He has lied to the American people. He has lied about why he fired James Comey. We heard one thing from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, from Sean Spicer, from Kellyanne Conway, from Vice President Mike Pence. Now we're hearing something totally different.
Well, Roland, I'm glad to see you've got your monthly return from the Democratic National Committee, because I tell you, I'm amazed at how you're just reciting all the Democrats' talking points.
Raynard, did he? No, hold on, Raynard. Raynard, answer the question. Did Vice President Mike Pence go before Congress and tell them and tell the reporters when he went to Capitol Hill that Russia had nothing to do with the firing of James Comey?
No, he did not say that before Congress.
No,
not before Congress.
Yes, did he tell members that, and did he tell the media on Capitol Hill that Russia had nothing to do with the firing? And did Donald Trump yesterday totally contradict what his own vice president said, yes or no?
Yeah, he did, but let's add some context.
No,
Roland, I said yes, he did.
Raynard, did Sarah Huckabee Sanders stand before the cameras at the White House press briefing and say that that James Comey was fired solely based upon the recommendation of Rod Rosenstein, that it had nothing to do with Russia? Did she say that?
Roland, yes, but are you going to let me ask
yes or no, Raynard?
I said yes, but...
Raynard, yes or no?
Okay, how many languages you want me to say it in? Yes.
So you are now admitting that what they did was they said one thing, they lied to the American people, and then Donald Trump came out with another reason for it. So you tell me, Raynard, who should the American people now believe?
Okay, if you let me get a word in edgewise, maybe I'll tell you. Now, Roland.
Will you stop trying to say somebody is presenting talking points because
Roland,
you want to defend the lies of Donald Trump?
We got to separate Trump's action versus his response and his White House officials' response. Did Trump have the constitutional authority to fire Comey? Yes or no?
Yes, he did.
No, that's not. Okay, so he exercised his presidential prerogative to get rid of Comey. Now, whether he got rid of Comey as soon as he became president in January or now, you all were always going to find a way to tie it back to Russia. Always.
Raynard.
This has nothing to do with Russia. He exercised presidential prerogative.
No.
Raynard, he
doesn't have the authority.
Pastor Shannon Wright. Pastor Shannon Wright.
He has the absolute right to do what he did.
One second. Pastor Shannon Wright, you're a Republican. Did Trump lie to the American people about why he fired James Comey, and why should we trust what he has to say when we hear one thing for 48 hours, and then all of a sudden we hear something totally different to Lester Holt?
Shannon Wright's not here.
I'm sorry. They had her there. Jameer, go right ahead. I'm sorry. Jameer, go ahead.
I'm saying, well, the fact that some people you cannot say from the sunken place, to say the very least, but what I will say is that it's extremely disturbing that the White House itself can't come up with its own talking points where everyone is on the same page. You literally have staff with one story and you have the president with another, which I think clearly shows that he cares not what he's telling his staff, and he also doesn't care what he's telling the American public. Like, context matters, because if he had fired Comey in the very beginning of his presidency because he very much believes that he handled the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails wrong, that would be one thing. But he himself admitted that the context for why he fired him is actually very much an example of obstruction of justice, where he himself is trying to stop an investigation that is for his campaign.
You cannot have obstruction of justice when you're exercising your constitutional authority.
He can't separate himself from his very much campaign.
You cannot.
Barbara Arnwine.
Well, let's be very clear, everyone, that the reason why Richard Nixon was impeached was because he obstructed justice. That means when you get in the way of, or you impair an investigation into misconduct purposefully in order to benefit and advantage yourself. Now, that is precisely what President Trump said yesterday to Lester Holt. Let's be very clear. His lawyers have to be apoplectic. They have to be rolling in the aisles going, oh my God, how could he have done that? Because it was a serious omission. If you had a Congress that was being responsible, they would be acting right now on articles of impeachment. And they would be calling,
Did Trump
they
have
would
the
be
right to do what he
him.
did?
No, he had
too.
no right to obstruct justice.
Reynard,
He has no right to obstruct justice, my dear.
Reynard, when the president says he fired him because of the Russian investigation, which is a legitimate investigation, when you have Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is speaking on behalf of the president, say that they fired Comey to move this Russian thing along, you cannot sit here, Reynard, and suggest that it's not an attempt by the president and his minions to obstruct
justice. Yes, I can,
justice.
and I am saying that, Roland. He had the constitutional authority to do what he did.
It's
criminal. It is not criminal. He has absolute authority to do that.
If Obama or any Democrat would have done anything similar to that, he would have been impeached already. Like, it wouldn't have even been a process or a discussion
obviously
around
you all know nothing about law.
Okay, and you do.
And I'm the lawyer on the panel, right?
Exactly.
So listen, this is criminal behavior. If I were a prosecutor, he obstructed justice, my dear.
That's not the
Presidents have gone down for it. I'm sorry, if you don't understand the law. The reality is that this is criminal behavior. It's purposeful, and he made it quite clear yesterday it was deliberate. Yeah. That's what's amazing about his
FBI Director
not for obstruction of justice.
Sorry, Reynard. Reynard.
Yes, Roland.
Reynard, you can try to stand on, he had the right to fire him. We know that the president, we know the president can hire and fire. But here's the fact. He lied. He lied. He
does not have to justify his actions.
Actually, he
does.
Oh,
yes, he does. Reynard, let me be perfectly clear. 1 second. Reynard, let me be perfectly clear. When you are elected by the American people, you absolutely must justify your actions.
No, you do not. You do not. That's a political issue, Roland. That's political, not legal.
Reynard, he lied.
There's an investigation happening.
He lied.
He has a horrible communication
Hold tight 1 second.
question.
I'm going. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.